I'm using a 10-inch grapevine base, which just needs a little tidying up. So I'm trimming off any of the bits that are sticking out. And then when it's nice and clean, I already used some spray adhesive and some flocking material, which is used in model making, and it gives a really great effect of a moss covered base. I also have some tiny snail shells and a rose quartz crystal and some toadstools, which I actually make these. I've got a selection of different greenery to really build up the base for this. I'm a very visual person and I need to physically lay them out and see which goes together. You know, you do you, whatever works. This is what works for me. I'll be needing a hot glue gun and of course my cutters, which you've already seen me using, some needle nose pliers and some scissors. So I'm just separating out this bush into the individual stems, ready to place them into the base. This one came from Michael's, but it doesn't matter, you use whatever appeals to you. The idea is just to offer you some inspiration. So I'm just going to build up a few of these ready to go, cut into individual stems. And then I have a few others. And the biggest challenge with using a small grapevine is the proportion, the scale of the greenery. You need to find ones with quite small leaves, otherwise it's going to look odd. And then of course I'm looking for contrast in colours and contrast in textures. This one is a bush from Hobby Lobby, and you actually get quite a lot, so it's good value for money. Once you separate the individual pieces out, they do go quite a long way. This piece here has broken off, and I'm just in the process of reattaching, which you can always put these broken pieces back, so you never need to waste any pieces. Once I've separated some pieces out, I'm going to then cut them down further, and if you look at the way the piece is made, there is a natural join, and if you cut very low down, then you end up with two separate stems. And now they're the perfect size for this particular wreath base. I'll glue them on, and I'm not gluing them down into the base, they're going along the base with the grain of the grapevine, and one will be slightly more towards the inside and the next one will be slightly more towards the outside, and then you end up with a fuller, more covered base. The base doesn't look terribly full at this point, but this is just the first layer, and there will be at least 2 more different kinds of greenery. So this is the second seedy greenery going on, and it's a different texture, a different colour, and now we're really beginning to build some interest. This is a very forgiving style, as we're going for a very wild and natural look here. I always pull out lots of bunches of greenery to begin with, and I know I won't use them all, but I just like to lay them out and see how the different options look when they're laid out together. I really like this one with the small kind of ferny looking leaves, but the colour is too similar to what I already have. So ultimately, I think I'm going to go with this bush with the nice lime green on the tips. I have a few of these tiny pieces that were left over from something else, and actually they're just the right scale and a good colour for this. So I'm just going to use them up. I'm all about using up bits and pieces that are left over, but these actually don't have any stem to them. So I've got a steel pick machine, which although it is quite an investment, now that I have it, it's absolutely invaluable. I couldn't manage without it. It's wonderful. So I'm just adding a few of these in. Again, another layer of interest, another layer of colour, another layer of texture. It's really starting to look nice and fluffy now and really filling out, so I'm happy with that. It's a little on the wild side, but you know, we're not finished yet. Trust the process, stick with it, and just keep building. And always double check, make sure that everything is secure. You know, sometimes things don't always go happily into place and they need a little bit of readjusting, and that's absolutely fine. Just double check everything, make sure everything is nice and secure, make sure nothing is sticking out the back. We wouldn't want anything to scratch the door that it's going to hang on, so you just keep checking. I really like this one actually. I think the brighter green really adds a pop. It's just what this needs, and it's the same process. You just go through separating it into small bunches, making sure you have a stem whenever possible, and this will really stand out nicely against the darker green base that we already have. Here I'm just going back to one of the original layers, just filling in a few gaps where I can see, you know, I've got some spaces, and I'm just evening up the circle. Yep, I'm really happy. I love the contrast in the colour with that pop of the very bright lime green. That is really nice. It works well. It's nice and fluffy, and we're ready for the toadstools. These I make from foam clay, and I love the detail on these. I put so much detail into them, and I also hand paint them all. And they are wired too, which, you know, helps to attach them. They're very, very lightweight, so they work great for wreaths, and all kinds of things actually. Hopefully there'll be some for sale soon in my Etsy store. At the moment I just can't make them fast enough. So I will attach these using hot glue. I'll glue on the wire and around the base of the stalk too. And then using my needle nose pliers, I can wrap the wire through and around the grapevine, and that way they're really secure. I'm really loving this forest and mushroom and toadstool trend at the moment. I know it's been trending for a while now, but I've been making these for such a long time. They're just adorable. I love the colours, I love the detail, just love everything about them, and they're just so much fun to use. And then the final touch to the toadstools is a tiny snail shell. A couple of summers ago I was staying with a friend in Michigan, and we went for a walk along the shore of a lake, and there were just lots and lots of these tiny shells. No snails living in them, they were vacated. And you know, I love collecting things like that, and I knew I'd find a use for them, and this is what I like to do with them. It just turns out they're the perfect size to be used with these toadstools, so that was great. And then the last thing I want to do here is to add the crystal, which I'm just going to attach with a piece of wire just so that it dangles nicely. Well, thanks for staying to the end. I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.